Live from our Lakeview studios in the Windy City. Welcome to the Chicago Python lunch break. My name is Ali Sivji. I'm one of the organizers of Chicago Python. I'm going to be your host for this afternoon's event. Afternoon, I like saying that. Let me just share my screen and we'll get started. All right, I think I am sharing the wrong screen. There we go. All right, so she should have changed that title. So yeah, we do have a code of conduct for this event. Anytime you're interacting in a Chippy space, be this on our YouTube, chat, and Slack on Twitter, we do have a code of conduct that you have to abide by in order to participate in those spaces. What is Chippy? Chippy, or the Chicago Python Users Group, is a Python-focused community that was founded back in 2003. We've had a pretty long and illustrious career as one of the OG Python user groups in this country. A lot of great projects have been debuted at Chippy, such as Matplotlib, and one of the first public showings of Django happened at a Chippy meetup. On top of our main meeting, which happens on the second Thursday of every month, we have special interest groups focusing in on more niche areas and niche applications of Python. Since Chicago is a big finance hub, a lot of our community members work in that industry. There is a SIG devoted to that. We have a SIG for data science, data engineering, and data analysis. There's also a SIG for web dev / DevOps. And a year ago, we started up an algorithms and data structures SIG. And that's where you interact with folks and work together to solve those hacker rank or leak code type of interview questions. Where can you find us? If you're not on our Slack, I really recommend joining the conversation there. Go to that link, send yourself an invite. We are on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, follow us. It's a lot of fun at Chicago Python. All this information plus a lot more is available on our website, which is chippy.org. I do want to make everybody aware of our upcoming events. Next Thursday, which is going to be August 1st, we have our monthly algorithm SIG event. On October 1st. On October 8th, we're going to have our next main meeting. October 15th, we're bringing back Project Night. We're going to be doing a challenge project. Look forward to sending out details probably like in the next week or two about that. So stay tuned. Let's see what else. On the 21st of October, which is a Wednesday, we have our next data SIG, and that's going to be a talk on anomaly detection, and there's another talk on SQL alchemy wrapper. So look forward to that. And if you were enjoying this event and you want to see more Python lunch breaks, give this video a thumbs up. It's going to let us know that this is a popular event, and we might keep doing these. So will there be one next month? I'm not sure. Stay tuned. Today's talk is going to be by William Arias. He's going to be talking about how to deploy your chatbot using CI/CD. Let me bring William onto our stream. Let me get my mouse going. Hey, William, welcome to Chicago Python.
Hello, thank you.
Where are you calling in from?
I'm in Prague right now, Czech Republic, Europe.
Okay, awesome. So how's life in Prague right now?
There is beer and the pubs are still open till 10 p.m. So life is quite good.
Yeah, that sounds the beer drinking capital of, I believe, the world. So that definitely makes a lot of sense. Can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, so my name is William. I am from Colombia. I live in Europe for the last 3 years. I work at Gitlab as DevOps evangelist, creating content for machine learning um, operations. I have worked developing chatbots in NLP, mostly using Python or mobile applications. And this is what I've been doing the last 10 years, working as a consultant, developer. I try also to create a startup. I failed many things. And now I'm in Europe working in GitLab, happy in open source communities.
Yeah, that sounds great. Can you talk a little bit about how you first got into Python?
Yeah, I think it was when I was in university, when it was not mandatory to use C for the microcontrollers. And I found out that you can also run Python scripts in a microcontroller like Raspberry Pi. And then I say, why not? And I started using Python back then.
Is there a language feature that you like the most?
Oh, I love recently I love the syntax of list comprehensions of everything with comprehensions, because it reminds me a lot of math. You have to think in math, in sets. Yeah. And the way you think and you read it is that you put it in Python. So I am refactoring many things, changing it to comprehensions. That's one of the things I've been up to recently.
That's awesome. I really like how that walrus operator that came out just a little while ago, it makes list comprehensions a little bit more useful. So it's like always good to make things more readable. But like getting a little bit more serious, like we've all had to deal with like COVID-19 pandemic and the effects of sheltering in place. Can you just share a little bit about your experience and how you've sort of just handled like what you've been doing in the past like 9 months?
Okay, this is live, right? So no. Well, advices to everyone out there. You should try meditation, maybe yoga. Limit your consumption of news. Don't read too much news because it might be depressing. And I've been dealing, doing different things and trying to be kind to myself. In the beginning, I was reading the other day that this thing should be considered a marathon instead of a sprint. So don't rush to reinvent yourself. Don't rush to do many things to create the next big thing, big app. No, be kind to yourself. Rest. This is a marathon. There will be time to do all of these things. So this is how I've been trying to deal with that. After trying to run a sprint, now I'm running a marathon and doing different things, like artistic things, like playing guitar, also coding, and working in the day-to-day activities in regards to GitLab and DevOps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's definitely good advice. Like I actually just got back into mindfulness practice myself. Do you have any like recommendations on folks that are looking to get started, how to like make that transition?
Well, there are lots of videos in YouTube that you can try, and this power yoga is super cool. I've been trying it recently, so it's quite cool because you also sweat. So it's tough, but you also meditate. So Google power yoga and
awesome. Yeah. And if anybody's looking for an app recommendation, I've been using Headspace, been using it for like 5 years off and on, and definitely helps me out. Are you ready to get started with your talk?
Yeah.
Cool. Let me get your screen up. Please take it away.
Okay, thank you. So well, thank you for being here. Send you a warm hug, virtual warm hug. So what is the motivation of this? Is when you start working with chatbots or NLP, you will find out that you have to wear many hats. So basically, we are like one-person band. We have to play lots of instruments to make a simple, let's call it simple application work. And at the end of the day, all of these instruments, to play it nicely and harmonic, you need to orchestrate them in a way. You need to conduct them. And what do I mean by these instruments? If you start this journey, let's say from my side, in my journey in data science of NLP, it will quickly escalate that it's not enough to run something in Jupyter. It happened to me many times that I was maybe demoing something that I did it in my computer, and someone was telling me, that's cool, can I use it or can you share it? And no, because the usual thing, it only works on my computer because I was just using Jupyter Notebook. So then you have to learn how to version the code, how to collaborate with other people. So you need Git, how to create an API, how to design the API. You have to make decisions in what type of storage you want to use. You want to use simple MySQL, you want to go for Cassandra. And if that's not enough, then someone will tell you, I want you to share this application with me, but please use Docker, put it in a container. And then someone will tell you, but now we want to go cloud native, so put it in Kubernetes. And we have to expose it somehow, so Nginx, and now we have to deploy it in cloud. So all of these decisions, at the end of the day, this could be overwhelming for someone that, for example, just wants to develop NLP scripts to make some, I don't know, recommendation engine and sentiment analysis, or a chatbot, like in this case. So one of the things that I want to share based on my experience developing chatbots for production is that it's very important sometimes to step back and define, following this analogy of the orchestra, what is our symphony? So something very important when you are collaborating with other people and working in a team is to be aware of what is the life cycle view of the model. And in the model, in this case, I mean like the train model that will allow the chatbot to have a conversation with someone. The model that will allow a chatbot to understand what is an intent and what is an entity. This concept that is the main things that a bot needs to understand to move in a dialogue engine. So once you define this, you will see that there are lots of steps that today they are kind of mandatory and they are usually executed manually. And that's one thing to understand what is the model, the life cycle view. But one thing that is very important is when also we took 2 steps back and we say, okay, we want to develop a chatbot. We want to develop a solution. For example, in March, we were building real quick a chatbot to answer frequent asked questions about coronavirus. This was simple one. This was that if you want to help somehow, let's do something that can release the load of calls to call centers. If someone can chat with a bot to ask, for example, it does a mask work, for example. So one of the things that I learned doing this, when you put it in the process view, is that a developer or a person that is knowledgeable in NLP or can write code, they can fire up a bot. They can do many things. They can pre-process the data. They can analyze if the JSON file or the YAML or whatever that you are using to collect the corpus and then feed it into some algorithm. You can do all of these things, but the main thing that a chatbot needs is dialogues. And usually these dialogues, once you have done all these things, and if you went through all the instruments I share, if you were reading how to deploy it in Docker, how to put it in Kubernetes, how to create the API, if you were using Flask and you have to use Git, all of these things. And then you have to think, okay, let me evaluate how to say hi in 10 different ways. So maybe you are already burned out by that and you just can think of hi or what's up. So one of the things that is very important from this process view is that we detected that there is a person that can be a dialogue contributor, and this person doesn't need to be technical. It's someone that you can just, for example, provide a file with a table, and they can come up with more ideas. So in this example of the chatbot for COVID, it was actually my mom and my cousin that they were helping me thinking how someone can ask a question about coronavirus. And they were just sending me the file, and then this file was being processed automatically to create the training data that the bot was going to use to learn. So by splitting in process view, you can learn where to optimize the process, and that not necessarily everyone has to be ultra super technical or knowledgeable in Python to contribute. This is one of the main takeaways. So you have a common understanding, very important when you work in a team. And this enables, as I say, the iteration to improve the performance of the bot. Because the more the bot is exposed and updated, the more the meaningful dialogues it will have. And then you can bring these dialogues in batch and retrain the model. That is what I will show you. So now put it in some sort of architecture. This is how all the things I'm describing look like this. So this is you are here. This is your computer or someone that can share with you a file with dialogues. And the only thing you need to do is to take that file and make up a Git push to your, in this case, Gitlab remote repository. And once you commit, this will start the CI component of Gitlab. And the CI, it's already configured, or you can configure very easily to run in different machines that is called runners, the different commands that if you don't use this, you will have to do it manually.
So in this case, in this continuous integration pipeline, what I'm doing is that I'm validating that the data it's in the correct, on the proper format. I am validating that it's complete, and I am also training the model. All of these steps are automated, and testing the model in the machine learning concept. I have a set of dialogues with some intents and entities that I am feeding the model, and then I'm getting a report in how was the performance of the model to that. And if the performance is above some threshold that I am happy with it, so I create the model as an artifact. So from this pipeline, the artifacts that get created, among them is the model, the actual brain of the bot, let's call it like this. And if you work in a team or on an industry that is audit, it's very good to create paper trail of what you just did in your pipeline. What was the version of the code? What was the version of the dialogue that you used at that specific point in time that resulted in this model? And once the model is created and you have everything, then what we do is that we deploy the trained model to the model server. That is another open source tool, very cool. I recommend you to look into it. It's called Raza. It's an open source library of conversational AI, and they provide an API that from Gitlab, for example, I can post the trained model to the model server, where I will expose the channels or register the channels like Facebook Messenger or a website or some widget that you can create, custom widget, to have the conversations. And to close the loop, this very same Raza server has an API that allows me to bring in batch the dialogues that the bot has been having. So I can use conversations from real users to feedback my corpus, clean the data, go through this process again, and retrain the model based on conversations with actual people. So this is an example of the bot deployed now and in the Raza server. I want to show you how all these things look like. So this is a project where I have this is the bot. So in this project, first thing that I do is that I define in this YAML file, if you are maybe familiar with this is a file in which I am defining the steps I want the steps in which I want my code to go through in order to result in an artifact that is the model. So from here, I'm using this version of Raza to create this, and these are all my stages. So there are custom Python scripts that I'm executing along these steps, for example, to train the model, to test the model, to create some notification and deploy it to Raza, to the Raza server that is hosted in Google Cloud. And this YAML looks like this. So as you can see, this is very flexible, and you can create and you can adapt it to the pipeline that you want. If you want some, for example, manual step in which NLP engineer has to take a look to, for example, the result of this thing. This is one of the auto-generated reports that get written in the wiki once the pipeline is executed. And let's say that you just want to say if the F1 score is now above certain threshold, and if the distribution doesn't look in a way that I want, so you can add here some manual step in which someone can say, I don't approve this merge request, so this doesn't go to production. In this case, just for demo purposes, I'm not putting any manual step. Everything happens automatically. So what I do here is that I just need one commit with, for example, new training data. I add training data to the bot. I add a new way to say hi. And once I add that, all this pipeline gets triggered automatically. And each one of these steps, for example, it's executing custom scripts that are testing a model, that are training the model. So if I open this one, we will have a view of the actual runner that was executing the training of the model using the Docker image that we pulled in the beginning with the Raza image. And once all of these things are succeed, what I can see now is that the trained model becomes an artifact that if I click here in browse, I have here the model. This is the artifact that at the end of the day, when the pipeline is successful, I want to deploy, like in this case. So in this deploy step. So what I'm doing here is that all of these steps were successful. The notify is to write the report that I was showing, like this one. And then I am deploying. And I will show you, this is the server side of the solution, where what I have here is that, I don't know, like 1 hour or 20 minutes CEST time before this presentation, I trigger a new pipeline that it takes like 10 minutes to run. That the only thing I had to do was, I did more or less like this. I came to the repository and I say, I want to add new training data to my chatbot, because I realized that there is a new way to say, I don't know, let me think, deny. So let's say that we say deny, no, this is better affirm. I think
Do you mind making it a little bit larger for the font?
Yeah, let me add some. Is it better?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
So let's say that here, I say, let's add a new way to say yes, and it could be why not. So once I do this and I commit, I want to commit to a new branch. So this is the developer workflow that more or less I assume many of us are familiar. So I'm creating a merge request and I'm submitting this merge request. And what this will do is that this will trigger automatically the pipeline. So in this case, I'm running like, please, let's bring the Docker image. Let's see if the model can get trained, if the format of the data is valid, if there are not errors in the pre-processing of the data. And if all of these things are successful, then someone with approval permissions can just merge. And when they merge, they will start the pipeline to deploy to production. That this will take some minutes. This is a pipeline that looks like this one that I was showing before. Being this the last step that is consuming the API from the Rasa model server and bringing the model here automatically like I did before the presentation. So as you can see, if someone tells you, hey, we just found out that the chatbot is failing at understanding that why not means yes, please change it. You don't have to go through all the manual steps of open a terminal, CD to a folder, running all the scripts manually, and creating the report. No, what I'm doing here is that just by creating this simple YAML file and this pipeline, everything is automated. Even the auditing part where I can create, and this can be configured to your needs or customized to your needs, I can create a report that will end up in the model served in the model server. And let's assume I'm from here in a widget, then I can just start playing with it and trying it. And trying the bot. So this thing, to close the loop, I want to show you that, remember in my slide, I was saying that there is a way to bring the conversation back to retrain the model. So one of the things that I have here is just a little script in which I'm consuming the API from Rasa, from the model server. And this is just a dummy example. This doesn't have too many dialogues because it's not really exposed to thousands of people or hundreds of people. But the concept is what is important. What I'm doing here is that I'm asking to the API, please bring me all the dialogues that you have been having, and I want to pre-process this data. So this is the typical, let's say, traditional day-to-day NLP activities that you can do using Python. And I'm just creating simple ranking and counting tokens. And then I can, just as an example, plot something. And just as an example, if here we can see that the cool, for some reason, is something that people are texting a lot to the bot. So you can use this to maybe say, I don't know, this is an affirmation or what. Or if you have something like, I am a bit mad, or call your supervisor, and sentences like this, because here you can play. If you want to bring a token, here I wanted to bring a sentence. So then here you can start making data-driven decisions, saying, why are we getting so many like negative tokens or negative words? So there must be something there that we are not seeing in the interaction with the bot. But here, the sky is the limit. This is just a simple example to show you that once you deploy, you can also automate this thing. And there is one step in addition to this that is very cool, and it's also contained here within the features of Gitlab. If you, for example, say, I would like to retrain my bot once per week or once per month or every day, all these steps that I was showing and that are actually running now here while I present, You can configure them to run automatically. You define the frequency, and you can keep retraining your model, let's say every day or every week, up to your needs. So with this feature, what I'm doing is that I'm scheduling the whole pipeline, this pipeline, in order to every week go to the model server, bring all the conversations, do some analysis on them, and then create a new merge request that is going to update the model and post it here in a model server that then you can use in your widget, in Facebook Messenger, or whatever where you expose the bot. So this is more or less what I wanted to share with you. This is one way that I know that this is a very exciting application of NLP, because bots are cool, bots are funny. It's very cool to create a bot, but it also brings a lot of learning if you go behind these things, in not only understanding the architectures, if you are using attention models or what you are using to classify or whatever. I invite you to also read that this can be industrialized and this can be operationalized to make it more scalable. When you play with these things in your computer just for yourself, it's cool, it's funny, you can share with your mom, with your dad, and it's cool. But if you want to deploy this in a way that you collaborate with other people, that you have to, for example, have version data. If tomorrow there is some audit and they say your bot was, I don't know, selling some credit, assuming it's a bank, is selling some credit, and this was, we need to audit how was the conversation and what was the artifact or the model that was used that generated those predictions of understanding this and that. So this is when it's very important to count with a platform of the DevOps that has version control, continuous integration, continuous development, and that allows you to create some sort of reports for any possible audit and automate all these things. So at the end of the day, to wrap up, so this is what we saw. This is the architecture. So remember, we started, I did the change of adding why not as an affirmation from the GitLab Web IDE, but this can be from your local environment. And then this trigger, all these runners that I was showing in form of pipeline, that they create a model, they create the paper trail in the wiki of this, the wiki feature, and then this deploy the model, the artifact, to this model server that is hosted using Rasa in Google Cloud. And from here, I was bringing it. This is what I showed for the Jupyter Notebook. So this is how it looks like. And my invitation to you is that you can explore these steps. You can create more complex pipelines that they can execute things in parallel, different type of validations. You can add your custom scripts in each one of these runners if you have some additional step that you need to run. And at the end of the day, the invitation is to try to see when in the process that you run, what can be automated and how you can be kind of a conductor of these processes, and how by leveraging continuous integration and continuous delivery between open source tools, you can make your life easier at the end of the day, really. Because sometimes a small change and that you don't want to go through terminal and execute all these commands and scripts will make your life significantly easier. And so show me, we already watched the demo. And when you achieve this level of maturity in your pipelines, what you do is that now you can think in how can you automate more and more and different processes by having this view of process view and model lifecycle view, and all that can be done, for example, in this case, within the same platform. So just out of curiosity, I want to check how the pipeline is doing. So we can see here that now the pipeline is training the model. So if I open this run, this is testing the model. So if we open this here, we will see the actual runner doing the thing. And in the past, and when I say in the past, this is some years ago, and I have seen it, there are still teams that this is done manually. And this is not scalable. This is cool if you are playing in your house, but if you want to deploy models or create chatbots on an industrial level, I invite you and encourage you to use DevOps practices, or what they are calling today machine learning operations, into your chatbot developments in this case. So that's it. I'm ready to take questions if there are any, and thank you.
Thanks so much, William. Can we please give William a round of applause in the chat? I will do it in person, and I'm gonna control V my emojis in the chat as well. So yeah, if you do have questions, please ask them in the chat right over there. While we're waiting for questions to come in, I do have some questions that I had during your presentation. Can you talk a little bit about what Raza is? Like, I know you said you deployed it on Google Cloud. Is it like a hosted platform? Like, what is Raza?
Okay, Raza is an open source conversational AI project written entirely in Python. It's a startup based in Berlin. And research, they have different offices. This is the company. And they are an open source. And they are an open source library to create chatbots. So if you like Python and you use Python, which I assume you, if you are here, this is the language in which it was written, and they do research applied, meaning that they make easier the life of a developer to start with a chatbot development. So they have an engine that helps you with the conversation dialogue, and they have an engine, let's call it engine, that helps you to train. What you have to do is to create the training data that I was explaining that we collect through outsourcing, volunteers, your mom, your cousins, your relatives. And then from here, when you install this package, what you can start doing is that they will help you by using these commands that I was showing that I have automated, how to train a neural network to detect entities and intents. For example, intent, I want to buy a car, or car is the entity and intent is I want to buy. So with this Raza library written in Python, the cool thing is that it's open source and you can customize. If you want to create custom components for your chatbot, let's say you want, one of the things I did once is I want to create a sentiment analysis per sentence that people are texting to the bot. You can do this and you can add it as a custom action in the bot. So this is why it's so cool, because you can customize it as much as you want if you know Python.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Awesome. So when you said you deployed it in the cloud, are you like deploying that as an app, or are you like using sort of like Raza, like it's hosted in Google Cloud? Like, what does that mean?
Okay, they allow you. There is component that is called Raza X that I use as a model server that you can install somewhere. You can install in your server. In this case, I just installed it in Google Cloud. I just ran the Docker Compose, Kubernetes implementation, and they have automated that once you deploy it in any cloud, you just need an infrastructure as a service, and you deploy it there, they will provide all the tooling that you need to serve the chatbot and the models to the outer world. So that's where I'm using the API. So let's say that there are two sides of this. You have this side in which you develop and you use the library locally, but when you want to deploy the bot to the rest of the world, you can use Raza X and deploy it in any infrastructure as a service or your own server and put it there. And it's exposing an API where you can connect the channels. And it has some value added. When you use this Raza X server, they provide more features inside that you can, for example, manually annotate data that you have seen in real time that the bot is getting. Or as I am doing, you can use the API to bring in a bulk all the conversations and retrain the model using your own custom scripts.
That's very cool. And I just have one last question about Raza. Like, I saw that like you had like that demo up with like the little chat application. Is that an integration you had to build out, or is that something that sort of just like comes with Raza?
No, I built the integration. What I did was just to insert a widget, and the widget is pointing at the endpoint of the API where the bot is where the bot can get the message. That's what I'm doing. It's a custom widget that you can put in your website.
Okay, that's cool. We got a question related to NLP. Do you have any recommendations for books that's specifically for NLP or classification?
Let me see. Books. No, but if you go to the Fast AI training, they have a very, very comprehensive course of Fast AI about NLP. And also, you can use the resources from Raza. Raza has several tutorials. I will say that by implementing chatbots and using libraries like Raza is a very, very friendly approach to start a career in NLP. So yeah.
No, that's great advice. Like I remember when I first built like my first Alexa skill, this was like 4 or 5 years ago. I had to do all of these things manually to figure out like intents and whatnot. And it just seems like it's so much better right now.
Yeah. Make your life easier. That's why I like it. I can read a question here. Someone asking about my company.
I was actually going to go to that next. So yeah, let's get into a little bit of GitLab. Is everything that you've showed, can they do that on a free account?
Yeah, I am intentionally using gitlab.com. That is the one that you can just enroll and use for free. Mm-hmm. And every single thing I have done, you can do it for free. And if you clone my project, and you can also replicate what I have done if you install your own Raza server in your own cloud or your own server. So long answer, but yes, everything you can do in the free tier of GitLab. There is no premium.
I had a question related to GitLab as well. Like, I saw that there's a button that said like Web IDE. Is that sort of just like, is there creating like a virtual environment? Do you know what's sort of going on behind the scenes of that?
Yeah, it's connecting. You can also even try some terminal there. And this Web IDE is a feature that sometimes I use when I want to make some quick change or create something that then I pull to my local repo. So it's pretty convenient for some tasks. For example, to edit web pages that are also built in GitLab, you don't really need to pull all the project and fire it up in your local IDE. You can just open the page in your Web IDE, make the change there, and commit and start a merge request. But there are also extensions. If you like, there is another. If you use Visual Studio Code, there is a GitLab extension with all the things I did in the browser. You can do in Visual Studio Code using the GitLab extension. Or you can use PyCharm, also as an extension for GitLab. And all the things that I have done clicking in the browser that is nicer to demo, you can do in a local IDE as well using the extensions.
Awesome. And just for that GitLab project that you specifically talked about, is there a URL you can share that people can use to clone it? Do you mind just throwing that in the chat? So people can just get that?
Yeah, I will right after the presentation, because I have the project private, so I have to make it public, and then I will share the project to clone it.
Awesome. And I will also post a link on our meetup page. So check there tomorrow morning, and hopefully it will be there. So just going back to that live editor, is it like, because I know people are looking for tools during COVID for collaboration. Have you found that like to be a good tool, like where maybe like multiple people can work on the same files, like through a web interface? Has that been useful?
This Web IDE?
Yeah.
No, this is more if you want to code using the browser, or if you want to make some small change. But it enables collaboration, but in the context of a developer workflow, that whatever you do in your Web IDE will trigger a new commit and a new merge request.
Okay, cool. I think we might take a look at that for our upcoming project night. We're looking for new tools that people can work in the same repo across like many different computers. So that might be a good way to do that.
Yeah. Sounds like that. Yeah.
So Matthew asked, how do you suggest going out organizing training data? Say if you have an existing help desk with a lot of different text, how do you organize it for training a chatbot?
Okay, well, what I have been doing is that I have a simple table that is very intuitive for someone to say, I want to write the sentence, and this is the intent of the sentence. And so a tabular way. And then this table using different libraries like this one from Python that you can convert XLS into JSON or into MD. That's what I do, because usually the tabular is very easy to understand for someone that is not necessarily technical. So what I'm doing is that I organize it in this way in a table, and then I take it from there and I do all the pre-processing to make it in an MD file or JSON file that is the actual format that the Raza engine needs to execute the training. So that's that. But this is like we say in GitLab, this is lots of iteration. You have to find what works best for you. In my case, is the tabular, creating columns like please put here the sentence and put here the intent that you want to express with this sentence. So it's very easy, for example, for my cousin that he is 12 years old to say, can COVID be transmitted by airborne? So intent, ask about transmission or symptoms. I don't know. This is a way to put it. That's the way I do it.
Okay, cool. I had a couple of questions around just like debugging pipelines. We can talk in general, then we can sort of talk about how to do it in GitLab. But how do you think about like when you're setting up your like a pipeline for the first time? How do you go about debugging that?
Okay, that's a very good question. So for that, this thing that got your attention, the web IDE, is very good because if you open the YAML file in the web IDE, this web IDE already has embedded some assertions that can tell you if the YAML is in the proper format, if there is a tab because or one extra space. So this using the web IDE for wait, let me show you. Just going back here. For example, this is telling me, GitLab is telling me that the configuration is valid. So meaning that the way I wrote this thing here, it's okay, and it will be able to trigger all the jobs. And going back to the web IDE, this is also some validation that you can do here, or you can create a template that you just fill and you save time doing this, creating this file. So how to debug is that you have to create the simple things like there is no extra space and all of those like hidden errors that can be there. The web IDE can help you to catch them because you cannot commit the YAML file if there is an error. So before you break anything, you cannot commit. So that's cool. And then when you start defining the steps and doing all these things, one thing that I don't know if it's the best, but it's the one I use is that you can either read a log or you can come to the pipeline steps, and you can open each one of the jobs and see the log and read what the machine was executing and what happened. And this is an usual way that you can start debugging. So I'm just showing now that you can open one of the jobs that was using the runner that was executing one of those steps, and I can see the log inside the machine. And if there is an error, I will catch the error with probably the code, or I can see the reason there in the runner. That's one way. Yeah.
And just to add to that, when you're first building out your pipeline, like don't be surprised you have like 40, 50 failures before you have like one passing. Like that's sort of just like the way that CI/CD goes.
Yes, let me show you because this is a demo, so everything looks nice. But if you see here, I have some that fail. For example, here I was trying to execute the Python script. This one made it almost all the way till the end. But when I was executing the Python script to tell Raza to make this model active, there was something that failed. So now I know that it failed in this step. So I can start, okay, it was in the Python script. Yeah, but look, there are lots that they fail. Don't be sad if it doesn't work in the first time. Well, you can do a hello world with the pipeline. You can do test, hello, I'm testing, and it will work.
So yeah, speaking a little bit more about testing, like how, you mentioned that you're testing your NLP models. What exactly does that mean?
Okay, so it means that I have a training data that I use to teach the algorithm. For example, what to detect an intent of saying no. So no could be like nah or I don't want. Something like this. But intentionally, I split my data with some portion that the model hasn't seen before. And then I want to try if the model using that data that was not used during the training stage can properly classify the intent. This is what I mean by testing the machine learning model. I'm not doing the regular testing that maybe a developer is used to, like checking that there is no empty file or something. No, what I'm doing is saying, I have a set of dialogues or sentences that I want to try in the bot that the bot hasn't seen before. And based on that, I want to see what is the output. If the NLP engine, let's call it, or the chatbot brain was able to infer that this means affirmation, or this means that the person wants to buy credit, some credit service, if it, assuming it's a bank. So this is what I mean by testing the model. I just want to see how the model performs when I feed the model data that it hasn't seen before, that is not part of the training data. This is this difference between the testing in machine learning context versus testing in regular developer workflows.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for going into that a little bit more.
Yeah, but you should do both. You should do both.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We should all be testing our code. PyTest is the best library out there.
Yeah.
So just a general question about CI/CD, like how can data scientists who are not that familiar with these more software engineering type of workflows, how can they first start like learning about machine learning, about MLOps and like data and DevOps?
Okay, for this, there are cool books. I can send you later the names. They are new. They are published 2020, I have seen. That they can help with the bridge between these things. But one very simple way to start learning about it is by creating your own pipeline. And if you do data science, you are already familiar with JSON, with YAML, probably. So by taking a look to what is the philosophy behind DevOps and all the steps that you can automate, and learning this simple syntax of what it takes to create in a YAML file, the steps that will take me through the things that I know how to do because I do it manually usually. This is one friendly approach to developer workflows and DevOps. That's the way I see it. And also, if you work in a team and someone says, hey, I have a better version of the model, it's not like, please send me it or send me the code. No, let's go to the collaboration, the repo, create a merge request, and let's see the result in the platform. This is way easier than sharing files and all these things, because I have seen it. I have seen it in data science teams that they send you an email with the Jupyter notebook. And no,
can't do that. Yeah, there's so much more in data science that you have to start thinking about, and it's really like it's great to see that a lot of software development practices, like version control, like they're actually flowing through to data with like different kinds of data version control tools I've also been seeing. But this has been great. Thanks so much. Can we give William another round of applause in the chat? But before we do let you go, like, do you have any words of wisdom or advice for the members of the Chicago Python community?
No, keep being nice. Let's keep this community alive. And thank you for your invitation. And I am very happy to be here. And I hope to one day share one beer and see you in person in some Python event at somewhere in the world.
Yeah, no, we're definitely going to make this happen again. For those of you who do not know, William and I met at PyCon Balkan last year. He gave a talk, and I was fortunate enough to give a talk there as well. That was one of the best conferences. That was so sad. Like, it's supposed to be happening like next week or something like that. But yeah, we'll do it for sure next year. And thanks again for being on. And we really appreciate you sharing your knowledge with our community.
Thank you.
All right, so that was William talking about how to do CI/CD for chatbots. If you enjoyed this presentation and you've had a good time, go down and hit that like button. It really helps us out, helps us put us up higher in the YouTube algorithm. I'm actually learning more about that, and that's actually a real thing. Let me just share my screen before we close out. I do want to make everybody aware of our upcoming events. Next Thursday is going to be AlgoSig. Thursday after that is going to be the main meeting. We're bringing back Project Night on the 3rd Thursday of October. We have a DataSig event coming up next month. And if you enjoyed this event, let us know. We might keep doing it. We might not. We're not really sure what's going on. I mean, 2 events back to back, that might be a little bit too much. But if you're having fun, we'll make the effort and we'll get people and we'll get an event going. Let's see what else. Our Slack is join Chippy slack.herokuapp.com. Go on there, send yourself an invite. We're on at Chicago Python. All this information plus a lot more, including links to our meetup, are available on our website, chippy.com. If you've had a good time, I'm going to say it once again, go down there, hit that like icon. Also subscribe if you haven't. We have a bunch of events coming up. You got to get notified when they're coming. Let's see. That's going to be it for us. Thanks again for joining. My name is Ali Sivji. We'll see you next time.